Lesson 36, Notes and Practice. It's our first lesson in the, we'll call it Unit 8, Part B. So we're going to go through how to do composition of two functions, okay? Alright, so let's get rolling. So first off, let's just understand what the notation is and what it means, okay? So with that in mind, if you look at the notation, so composition of the function f with the function g is given by this, which this notation is the same as this, which is read as f of g of x. So it's like we're making something, okay? And we're putting things inside other things. So we're going to apply one function to the results of another. So look at the pre-done example here. You see how it says f of x equals x squared plus 5x minus 2, we're going to find f of negative 3. So what that really means is, well, it said f of x, we're going to do f of negative 3. So everywhere we see an x, we are going to replace it with a negative 3. So notice you put negative 3 everywhere that you see x. So when we do that, now we're just going to do basically, this, which is like pre-algebra order operations, right? So negative 3 squared, well, negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. And then minus 2. So negative 15, 9 minus 15 is negative 6. And then negative 6 minus 2, negative 8. Now we do need to write that with the f of negative 3. Okay, you don't just write negative 8, because really we could have substituted anything in for x. So you could get basically an unlimited number of answers. So what that f of negative 3 equals negative 8 means is when we put a negative 3 in for x, then our solution, or basically our f of x slash y value, is negative 8. So you do need to write this entire notation for your answer. Alright, so let's take a look at how we do it. So here it asks us to do f of x if x squared equals 5. I'm going to do f of negative 3. So what are our steps? We're going to replace x with negative 3. Alright, so here we go. F of negative 3 equals, and then I do negative 3 squared plus 5. Okay, so negative 3 squared is negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. And then remember, you do want to have the notation here. So the f of negative 3. So f of negative 3 equals 14. Okay? And again, what does this mean? It means when we put a negative 3 in, we got a 14 out. Alright, so that's just our basic steps. So now let's look at what's called composition of functions. So this is where we're going to have two separate functions, and I'm going to kind of color code these. So f of x, in this case, is going to be 5x plus 2. And then we see that there's a g of x. So the g of x is going to be negative 4x plus 1. So now it asks us to find g of f of x. Okay, so that's how you say it, g of f of x. And what that means is we're going to take the f of x equation and we're going to plug it in for the variable in the g of x. Okay, so initially our equation for g of x was negative 4x plus 1. We take what's on the inside, we plug it to what's on the outside. So instead of in the last problem where we put a number in, now we put this entire equation. So we're going to put this 5x plus 2 and substitute that for this x. So notice here, you have the negative 4 you had before, but then instead of the x, we have 5x plus 2. And then you still have the 1 on the outside. And now, once you get here, we're just going to do Algebra 1 style. So distribute, negative 4 times 5x, negative 20x, negative 4 times 2, negative 8, bring down the plus 1, combine like terms, and then there you go, negative 20x, and then minus 7. Okay, and then notice how I write it, g of f of x. So we replaced the x in the g of x equation with the f of x function. All right, well, let's look at a practice of it. Here it says f of x equals x squared plus 5, g of x equals 3x minus 8. Find g of f of x. So I'm going to start with what's on the outside, which is the g of x equation. So the g of x equation just reads 3x minus 8. And now I'm going to replace the x with the f of x equation, because that's what's on the inside here. So this is now going to read g of f of x, and then that's going to equal 3, And now I'm going to use a different color for emphasis here. I'm going to, instead of the x, I'm replacing it with the f of x equation, which is x squared plus 5. So I write that in, and now I need to still keep everything else. So notice the 3 is still there, the minus 8 is still there. If we get to this point, then it's either just a pre-algebra, algebra 1, or maybe an algebra 2 question that we've already done. In this case, what do? We're going to distribute. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 5 is 15. Bring down the negative 8. What are my like terms? 15 minus 8 is going to give me 7. I bring down the 3x squared. And remember, we keep this notation of g of f of x. And again, what does that mean? It means we put the f of x in for the variable in the g of x equation. Okay? So you're plugging what's on the inside into what's on the outside. Alright, so let's look at another example of it where we have to do a little bit more algebra on the back end. Okay? So here it says f of x equals x squared minus 3. And then here it says g of x equals x minus 1. So find f of g of x. You start with what's on the outside, the f of x equation, which is this. And then we are going to substitute for the variable the g of x equation. So notice how instead of an x, we have x minus 1, but it's still squared, and then there's still the minus 3. And now we still need to do the workout. It's just that this is higher level work, right? This is now like algebra 1 / early algebra 2. So when you square something, what do? You multiply it times itself. So notice how we write it out 2 times. And then we would distribute it through. So you see all that here. Bring down the negative 3 and then combine all these like terms. So x squared gets brought down. Negative x and negative x, negative 2x. And 1 minus 3 is negative 2. And then there we go. Okay? All right. So let's show that out where we do all the steps. So here it says f of x equals x squared minus 5, and g of x equals x plus 2. We're supposed to find f of g of x. So I start with writing the f of x equation. F of x equals x squared minus 5. And now I'm going to do f of g of x. So when I do f of g of x, again, what we're doing here is I'm replacing this x with the x plus 2. So I go x plus 2, and then squared, and then minus 5. Again, what does it mean to square something, right? You got to multiply it by itself. So I'm going to do x plus 2 times x plus 2. And then you keep bringing down this minus 5. And now you're just going to multiply that through like we did before. X times x, x squared. 2 times x, 2x. X times 2, 2x. 2 times 2, 4. And then bring down the minus 5. Combine like terms everywhere. So what is that going to be? The x squared comes down. 2x plus 2x is 4x. And then 4 minus 5 is negative 1. Remember, we got to put what it's equal to. So we're going to write f of g of x equals x squared minus 4x minus 1. So really we did the same thing. There was no new skill here. It was just that we had to use higher level old skills, right? Alright, so last but not least is just to go through and show how to do these with the different numbers and then when you have to do the number composition. So let's show these three here. So h of negative 2. Now be careful here. If it says h of negative 2, make sure you're actually plugging it into the correct equation. So we got to go into the h of x equation, okay? All right, so when I go in here, I'm going to use this to type it out. So I'm going to write h of negative 2 equals, okay, and now in parentheses, I'm going to do negative 2 squared, and then where I see it, it's a negative 2 times negative 2 plus 3, right? All right, so that's my whole situation, okay? So now let's write what our answer is, okay? So again, if you need to, you can just copy this guy, boom, and then hit it in the calculator. There you go, and we get 11. So then the way we purpose and write our answer is we're going to write h of negative 2. And again, what does that mean? It means the negative 2 went in for x, and then the answer was 11. So h of negative 2 is 11. All right, so that would be that first scenario. Okay, g of f of x. Okay, so we don't need a calculator here really because you're not going to get a numerical answer. Like here we got a number answer because we had a number variable number to put in for the variable. Here we're going to put in another equation. So I'm going to start with the g of x equation here. When I do that, my g of x equation is this, the x squared plus 3. So here we go. I'm going to go g of x equals x squared plus 3. Now, my next line is going to be to say, okay, I need g of f of x. Okay, so here we go. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to write g of f of x equals, okay, now, for the x, I'm going to write the f of x equation, which is the 4x minus 2. So it's going to look like this, right? 4x minus 2 squared, and then the plus 3. Okay? All right, so when I do that, then we're going to continue to show out our steps here. G of f of x equals, and let's remember that 4x minus 2 really means 4x minus 2 times 4x minus 2. So then we show out each of these steps, okay? So g of f, whoops, I didn't hit the math type. Hold on, sorry about that. G of f of x equals, and now we're going to just multiply everything through. So 4x times 4x is 16x squared, and then 4x times negative 2 is negative 8x. Negative 2 times 4x is negative 8x. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. And then you have the plus 3 hanging out on the end. And then to finally finish it, sorry, I didn't hit the math type again there. My bad. So to finally finish it, we are going to combine like terms. So I get 16x to the second. Negative 8x and negative 8x is negative 16x. And then 4 plus 3 is 7. And there we go. Okay, last but not least, f of h of 3. Okay, so the way I like to do this is let's find h of 3. We'll get that answer, then we plug it into the f. All right, so I'm going to start out with my inside and work my way out. So h of 3, apologize, keep forgetting to use the math type. So h of 3. Now, where's my h of x equation? Oh, here it is. So let's do this, but now instead of plugging the negative 2 like we did before, we're going to plug in the 3. So it's x squared, so we go parentheses 3 squared, and it's minus 2x, so minus 2 times 3, and then it's plus 3. Okay, so I need to get what h of 3 is, right? So here we go. Let's get that h of 3 answer. So I'm going to write h of 3 equals, okay, 3 squared is 9, negative 2 times 3 is 6, so 9 minus 6 is 3, plus 3 is 6. And if you needed to, of course, you could copy and paste this into the calculator to get that answer. So now we have what h of 3 is. So now that we know what that answer is, now I'm going to put the 6 in to f. So I'm going to go into the f equation. Where's the f equation? Here it is. So I'm going to type 4 times 6 minus 2, right? Okay, so when I'm doing this, when I say f of h of 3, but remember, what am I really plugging in? Well, what did we just say h of 3 is? It's 6. So when I go to the f of x equation, I'm putting a 6 in there, right? So it's 4 times 6 minus 2. Well, 4 times 6 is 24. 24 minus 2 is going to give me 22. So then I'm just going to go down here and go f of h of 3 equals 22. Okay? All right, so those are our examples for how we do the different composition of functions here. And then you want to make sure as you go into your practice that you do questions 10 through 14. Hope this helps.